Legends of the ninth son of the Emperor of Mankind are fantastic and great in their own right. Even more incredible are the deeds recorded and witnessed by those that fought side by side with the great angel. Ever the paragon of nobility, Sanguinius warred within himself with a darker nature, ever ready to spill forth. It is this eternal and internal struggle that would ultimately be his greatest feat. Greetings, YouTube. Behold the great angel and his noble sons. So today we're going to take a look at my custom Sanguinius. Put this guy together a couple of weeks ago. Was actually a relatively easy build. I'm going to go over him, talk about the recipe, what I used, what I made, and yeah, let's have a look at him. Okay, so first off, let's have a look at Sanguinius. Aesthetic wise, starting down at the feet. Again, I'll tell you everything that I did to this base body to create the great angel. There's quite a bit of things that I added, but it's not as much as you might think. A lot of this base figure already had everything I needed. Did add a little bit of soft goods back here. This is something that I kind of just put together. I wanted him to have, I needed to cover up something back here, so gave him a little tabard or cloth there. So I will say that because of the things that I added to him, he is a little bit difficult to handle because I want to be careful that I don't, tear stuff up or mess things up that I've placed. Everything is pretty much on there permanently, except for this little cloth thing here with the cat head. But, it's a custom. It's not a figure from Joy Toy, so it's a little bit more delicate than something that you would get officially. All right, so let's talk about the recipe for starters. So the base body here is the Super 7 Goldar. This guy. So I had saw a guy on Instagram, Portal Master, I think his name was, but he was making using Power Ranger figures as demons, like that. I guess like a bird-looking thing with wings, and I started thinking, let me see about that. So I looked around and I was looking for some of the demon ones, and that's when I happened upon Goldar, and I was like, geez, that kind of looks like Primarch armor. And then the ideas just started flowing. So started with the Goldar body, added some pieces to the armor, these shoulder pieces right there, those little beads, added that. These knee parts, also added those. And as far as armor goes, that's probably about it. Now, I did add a couple more beads here to give it this look that he has in the artwork, in the lore. Also added this halo thing back here. Now, the funny part is that every piece of armor that I added, besides the beads, came from my tried and true figure, that the gift that keeps on giving, this Fortnite Golden Knight guy that I have used. If you didn't catch my Thunder Warriors custom video, I used a lot of pieces from them for those guys, and then I had pieces left over, some pieces that I didn't even think to use, like these shoulder pieces that I added to Sanguinius here. Those are knee pads from that figure. And then these knees are like the back bling or whatever they call it. Like it started out as a thing that you would plug into the guy's back, and I just got rid of all of that stuff and kept the shell and then just added it to his knees. And then this piece here is actually 2 of the head crests from the figure that I glued together and painted gold. So yeah, that figure, well worth it. I've gotten a lot of mileage out of those figures. And then let's talk about other stuff I added. So I did show this a second ago. This cat head is from Storm Collectibles King, like the big wrestler looking dude with the jaguar head. This is cloth from, this is cloth from Hobby Store. Again, you can find a lot of good stuff at a hobby store. Sanguinius' head is a Marvel Legends Thor. I forget what story that Thor's from, but it was some, he had on this different outfit and he didn't have any pupils in his eyes. So I painted the eyes, gave him some pupils and such, painted this little head thing gold. Got this, where the heck did I get this from? This crown thingy. It might have been off of Dante's Inferno figure. Some custom fodder I had laying around. Then you got the wings. Let's talk about the wings. Wings are important. So these are Mythic Legion wings. They are very, very cool looking and very detailed, but they are heavy as hell. So I had to super glue and hot glue these things into the holes that were for Goldar's wings. It took a little bit of doing, but I'm still able to, they won't rotate here, but they will rotate here, so I can still have them spread out to give the great angel some unfurled wings. So that was something that was really important, because you really can't make a Sanguinius without giving them wings. So it was paramount that I found some, and I knew I had my Mythic Legion's wings, but I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get them in there and stay and not cause a bunch of problems. It's going to make the figure back heavy and all of that, so you got to be careful. Okay, so next up, let's talk accessories. So Goldar comes with a great assortment of hands, so that's perfect, and they are red and gold. I mean, his armor color scheme fits perfectly for Sanguinius. Here's a hilarious thing. So this sword here, which is the Blade in Carmine, is Goldar's sword. It literally looks very similar to the Blade in Carmine. Like, even has the red jewel in the middle. Like, it was a perfect, you know, match as far as being big enough so that it fits him and it doesn't look ridiculous. Having the gold on it, having the red gem. All I did was paint that little blood drop on there. That's all I did to that sword. That's exactly how it comes. So that was spectacular. Then I was doing the research, you know, looking at pictures of Sanguinius, and I discovered that he also used this Spear of Telesta. So let's have a look at that. This is a Mythic Legion's spear that I doctored up. I added this part to the top for the blade. This was putty that I sculpted. These were 2 blades from Articulated Icons, and I kind of just melded them together. If I had to do it over again, I would make the putty that I put here thinner so that it doesn't kind of bulge out here. That's kind of a flaw, but it looks pretty good, especially from a distance. I also added this. This is, once again, another one of these things that I cut down, one of these head crests, and then added a bead for that jewel, gave it the purity seal with the oath papers, painted it up a little bit, added the gold, or added some gold up here on these parts that I that I glued together, gave it some splashes of silver, and we have a Spear of Telesta. So yeah, custom Sanguinius put together with well, I guess not random, but things that I had laying around, a very good base figure, and then a little bit of paint and a little bit of glue and a little bit of imagination. One thing with these customs, you know, you have something in your head, or you want to try to do something, you got to find a base body that's going to be helpful to you, and then you have to find a way to do all the extra stuff. So it does take a little bit of imagination. Let's have a look at Sanguinius with his brothers. Okay, so here we got the Primarchs from Joy Toy, and I do have their stock heads on. I will do another comparison here in a second that will show you my custom heads that I have for each one of my Primarchs. The sculpts of their heads look great, but I feel like they're a little bit small, and I know that's probably based on the lower pictures and stuff, but I have like regular 1/12 size heads that I use for my Primarch sometimes. But he looks really good with his brothers, so let's have a look at them with their custom heads on. Okay, so here we got them with their custom heads. I got these two heads from a guy that I buy custom heads off of on eBay, and then Rogel Dorn's head is actually a Batman Supreme Knight Mezco unmasked head. And a couple of things here that I wanted to mention. Not Joy Toy, Locker Toys, or LT Cave, came through and they sent me replacement parts for my lion. If you remember, when I reviewed the lion, his shoulder was all messed up and I had to jury rig it. It was all bad, but they sent me replacement parts, so he is now good to go. And then for Rogel Dorn, this cape here is a wired soft goods replacement that I got from a guy, Max Bird, on Instagram. But yeah, the Primarchs so far. One more quick comparison here, because I forgot to add him. I put in my custom Magnus the Red before his folly. Final thoughts on my custom Sanguinius here. So I'm very pleased with how he came out. So, you know, for a custom, you really just wanted to look like it's supposed to, or resemble, you know, the character that you're trying to achieve, and then you add as much stuff as you can so that you can, you know, get it as close as possible. He was not difficult to put together, especially because the Goldar base body had so much going for it already. The biggest challenge was to try to get the wings, to get the right ones, and to get them to stay in there, for them to not cause a ton of problems. So that was the biggest challenge here. I have no doubts that Joy Toy will be making a custom, or not custom, an official Sanguinius. They actually just announced that they're coming out with Commander Dante. Now, if the pattern holds, once they start releasing Horus Heresy rather than 40K Astartes and things like that, then usually their Primarch follows. It happened with Rogel Dorn, happened with Horus, and it's happening with Russ. So Commander Dante coming out is great, but he is not Horus Heresy. So I don't know if that means Sanguinius is hot on the heels of that, or if we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer. If I had to predict it, I would say we will get Sanguinius by the end of 2024. We'll see. Like, comment, subscribe.